Good evening, everybody. It's Friday, March 6th, and it's supposed to drop into the 30s tonight, and I want to take this opportunity to show you everything that I have growing on in this little greenhouse right here, because it's just too cold to leave everything outside in this little pop-up greenhouse. So I'm going to take everything out and show you what I have growing so far for the upcoming spring season 2020. So I have some really cool stuff in here. You'll notice that I'm very heavy on the tomatoes, and they're pretty mature for only being the first week of March. And then I have peppers, lots of figs, lots more tomatoes in here. I have a whole bunch of different varieties, and I'm growing a lot more than what I actually need. I prefer to grow double what I actually need, so I have an extra of everything, just in case something fails, because it never hurts to have too many, because you can always give them away to friends, family, and neighbors. So the first thing I have right here is I have 4 tomatoes in containers. They're in fabric grow bags. I really love these fabric grow bags. They're great for getting an early jump start on the season. If you're curious about where to get them, I have them linked in the video description in my Amazon storefront. I've been using them for years. They're great for annuals because they provide great aeration to the roots. And 3 of these are parthenocarpic varieties that are good to grow in cool season climates like Oregon. So I figured these would be great at getting me an April tomato, because I want to go for really early tomatoes this year. This is a Silet's tomato. It's an heirloom tomato, and it is parthenocarpic, so it sets fruit without pollination. It really needs some trimming, and the bush, this is a more semi-determinate type that isn't going to grow into a big vine, so it's perfect for these 7-gallon fabric grow bags. There's no fruit on it yet, but I'm sure it will set some soon. This right here is a tomato called Earliana, and I think this is either a semi-determinate or a determinate, and it's known for producing fruit with very cool temperatures. Once again, there's no fruit on it yet, but it's just beginning to flower, and it's very healthy. This right here is my Rosella Purple, and I've been growing this for years. It tastes exactly like a Cherokee Purple, but it is a dwarf tomato project plant. So it will only get to be about twice as tall as this, and it sets just gorgeous, delicious 6-ounce fruits. And I'm already getting fruit on this every single year that I've been growing it. So 3 years in a row, this has been my first tomato to set fruit. There you can, to ripen fruit rather. And there you can see one of the tomatoes starting there. It's starting to flower, and I've noticed that this variety does not do well in the heat. Once it gets above 85 or so, the flowers start dropping. So this does really well in April and May when temperatures are still cooler. Then over here, I have Oregon Spring, which is a popular tomato in Oregon. It's made to set ripe fruit in cool temperatures in coastal Oregon that only see the 60s and 70s as their version of heat. So there you can see a nice big tomato there. There are several tomatoes that are setting up here that you can clearly see. It's still flowering like mad, so I expect this to be one of my first tomatoes in the season, and I'm hoping that I can get ripe fruit off these 4 plants, at least one of them, by April, and on all of them by May. Alright, now in here in the greenhouse, I am just growing a ton of different varieties of tomatoes that I'm very excited about. This one right here, I'll get this right out of the way. This is just a celebrity tomato that I bought from Lowe's a couple of days ago. And I have a special spot in my heart for celebrity tomatoes because I worked on a farm growing up, and this is all that he grew. It's a determinate type. It's not the best in terms of flavor, but it's good flavor, and the disease resistance and productivity is off the charts. It's a determinate type, and highway robbery, they wanted was $4 for one of these plants, but since there are 2 strong plants here that are easily separable, I'm not so upset to pay $3.78 for 2 of these. It is worth it, because you'll get dozens of tomatoes on each plant. Now for all of the different varieties that I have in here, I have more than I know what to do with. I have Cherokee Purple, Brandywine Sudeth, Brandywine Yellow, Arkansas Traveler, Ozark Pink, Brandy Boy, Rosella Purple, Earliana, and this celebrity here. And I also have a a large grape tomato called German Lunchbox. And my old neighbor grew this last year, and where all the other tomatoes fail in our heat to set fruit, this produced the 2-inch very large grape style tomatoes all throughout the extreme heat of the summer. So this is my bet for the worst tomato, where even when weather's horrible and it's really hot, I'll still be able to get something. In here I have something called a tayberry. A tayberry is supposed to be a hybrid cross between a blackberry and a raspberry. Burpee was running a sale where if you bought all 3 types, you got 20% off. So I have a tayberry right here, as well as a royalty raspberry that is just starting to come to life. I bought it bare root. You can see it right there. So hopefully I'll have a raspberry plant. And then up here I have a prime Arkansas Freedom blackberry that I'm very excited about. It's a primocane fruiting thornless type. On to my second flat of tomatoes. We have even more to pick from. We have Oregon Spring, more Rosella Purple. I'm going to put the determinates and the dwarfs in 2 different raised beds that I have that I will Florida weave together in between some garlic plants that I will use to naturally keep pests away. I'm also going to interplant some basil and marigolds also to keep some pests away. So they'll all be Florida weaved together. I have the following Indeterminates: Stump of the World that I grew last year and was excellent, Pantano Romanesco, Orange Jazz, Pork Chop, Ananas Noir, Pink Jazz, and then I have a third flat over here with even more tomatoes. And in here we have Brandy Fred, Dwarf Emerald Giant, Comand, Fred's Tie-Dye, and Silettes. You'll also notice that I have a few figs in here. I'm growing numerous different figs, of which half still haven't rooted. This one right here is my Borgeso Blanca Negra that I'm just propagating. This is the Godfather fig, which is a propagated cutting from one of the trees from the movie The Godfather. This is a Galicia Negra, which has rooted very strongly, and this is supposed to be an excellent fig. I'm very happy I got my hands on that. Then down here we have, I got Negra de Agde cuttings, and both of them rooted, so I'll have a double. And then behind here we have this is a Pastelier, not to be confused with Unknown Pastelier, which is a Smyrna type and won't grow in fruit here. You need the fig wasp for that. And then a wonderful fig called Cotio Verdile that I'm very excited to try. Next to it is a good old Ronde Bordeaux. For some reason, that's one that has escaped me. It's a very common type, but it's supposed to be a really good one. And then over here, I have a Col de Dame Gigantina, which is supposed to be a very large Col de Dame type fig. And I'm very excited about this. And speaking of Col de Dame Gigantina, I had this additional Marseille Black VS cutting from last year that I rooted, and I decided to decapitate it, and I grafted onto it one of the cuttings from a very large Col de Dame Gigantina that I had gotten from Harvey, and it took off. This is my first ever attempt at grafting, and it was successful, so I'm very happy about that. So I'm going to grow these both side by side, and I'm going to run an experiment. Will the Col de Dame Gigantina do better on its own rootstock or on this Marseille Black VS rootstock? And my Marseille Black was very vigorous last year. So we'll see how they both perform side by side. Alright, and down here we have various herbs and lettuces. This in the corner where you can see some red is Swiss chard. You can see the red veins inside of the plants. The other 3, 1, 2, 3, are all just basic, good old-fashioned romaine lettuce. And then behind this Ronde Bordeaux, I have cilantro in these 3 cells and dill in these 3 cells. And it looks like only one of my dill plants actually came up, but that's okay because I really only need 1 dill. I overseeded everything just to hedge my bets, and I only need 1, so that's okay. Now for my last 2 trays. I have in here a mixture of hot and sweet peppers. I've always been a big hot pepper head, but I always wind up with so many more than I could actually eat, and nobody else ever seems to want them. So for this year, I'm going to be growing a lot more sweet peppers. And in this tray, I have hot cherry, an entire row of 6 hot cherry peppers. And I'm Italian. Hot cherry peppers are just, oh, they're my Achilles heel. I love them. so I want to have a lot of plants so I can try and can some of them for the winter. These two, I have this wonderful plant that I got from the island of Martinique. I don't know what the pepper plant is, but it smells like it would be incredibly hot, but almost like a habanero, but when you actually eat it, it doesn't have very much heat to it. It was all over the grocery stores there, and the place that we were staying, the Airbnb we were at, they had a plant growing in the backyard, and they said, take whatever you want. So I took one of the seeds with me and smuggled it across customs, and I dried the seeds, and I've been growing them every year for 3 years. I saved the previous year's seed, and it's just been a wonderful pepper. I couldn't tell you what it is. Here I have 4 hot sunset peppers, which are just a hot banana pepper, and then I have 3 sweet peppers called lipstick and 3 sweet peppers called Melrose that I know nothing about, but the pictures look great on Baker Creek's website, so I went with them. And now for the final tray that I have, behind this Col de Dama Gigantina, I have Sunset Banana, which is a sweet banana pepper to go with the hots that I already showed you. This is that Royalty Raspberry. I have a Cayenne that did not come up. The seed was 3 years old, and I planted a number of seeds in there, so I guess that's dead. I'll have to buy a Cayenne plant at this point. I have numerous pepperoncinis, which, again, I'm Italian. I love canning them. They're great. I have one of these Aunt Molly's ground cherries, which are really good, but they're horrible at attracting leaf-footed bugs and stink bugs. So next year, well, this year rather, I'm going to put it in one of my fabric grow bags, and I'm going to isolate it away from my garden. And that way it'll either give me a great harvest, or worst case, it'll be a distraction crop and keep the bugs away from my big garden. Then I have 2 jalapenos, because you have to have them. And then I have a wonderful pepper I've been growing for years called New Mex Big Jim. It is a large, mildly spicy green frying pepper that is just delicious and goes great in salsas and tacos. And here is everything, nice, safe, and warm in the confines of my garage. As you can see, I have a lot going on here, but don't worry, I have plenty more where this came from. This weekend I will be starting my marigolds, my sunflowers, my cucumbers, and my zucchini. And I'm especially excited for cucumber season this year, because not only will I finally be able to properly trellis them, I'll be growing a parthenocarpic variety, which means it will not need pollination to set fruit, and you actually have to isolate them away from any other pollinating cucumbers, because pollination will actually make the cucumbers deformed and bitter. So it's the only variety that I will be able to grow. But cucumbers are tough because they have male and female flowers, so you need bees to pollinate from the male to female. Well, this will set fruit without pollination, so you don't need bees. And as long as it's the only cucumber near your yard, so they won't get contaminated by some other male pollen, they turn out these wonderful seedless fruits. They're actually made for growing in greenhouses. So I'm really excited to try them. And that is the bulk of what I have growing on right now. Everyone, I hope you found this video interesting, and I hope that you too are looking forward to the spring 2020 season. It is rapidly approaching us, and for many of us, it's already here. So I want to thank you all for watching this video. If you liked it or if you found it helpful, please hit the like button. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe for future updates and more videos like these. If you're curious about anything that I use in my garden, everything that I use is linked in the Amazon storefront that I have linked in my video description. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see all of you again on the next video.